In this short video, we're going to learn how to compute the long-run equilibrium in a perfectly competitive market. The perfectly competitive market for plastic lawn flamingos consists of many identical producers, each with a long-run average cost of 24 minus 4q plus q squared, and a long-run marginal cost of 24 minus 8q plus 3q squared. The market demand curve in this industry is demand equals 140 minus 2p. We are going to determine the long-run equilibrium price in the market, and then we're also going to figure out how many firms there will be in the long-run equilibrium. So what do we need to know in order to answer this question? We need the long-run total cost curve, or we need the average and marginal cost curves. Here we have the average and marginal cost curves. If we had just the long run total cost curve, then we could derive the average and the marginal cost curves in order to proceed. We also need the market demand curve. How do we solve this question? Well, in order to find the long run equilibrium price, we need to find the minimum of the long run average cost. And it turns out that that's going to occur where the average and marginal cost curves intersect. So we set the long run average cost curve equal to the long run marginal cost curve, and we solve for Q. And then we take that Q and we plug it back into the long run average cost curve to find the minimum. And that's our long run equilibrium price. To find the number of firms in the market, we really just need to make sure that the market clears. So you can think of this as a market clearing condition. In particular, the number of firms times the amount each firm produces has to equal the total demand. So we're essentially saying the total number of units supplied has to equal the total amount demanded. This is often rearranged into this form here, where N, the number of firms, is equal to demand divided by the number of units produced by each firm. Let's solve this question. So here's what we know. We know the average cost, the marginal cost, as well as the demand curve. And we're trying to find the long-run equilibrium price as well as the number of firms in the long run. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set the average cost equal to the marginal cost and solve for Q. So I have 24 minus 4Q plus Q squared is equal to 24 minus 8Q plus 3Q squared. And I'm going to do some simplification. So the first thing I'll notice is that the 24s cancel. And then I can combine my Q squared terms on the right-hand side of the equation and my Q terms on the left-hand side of the equation. There are lots of ways of solving this, but that's the way I've decided to do it. So I'm going to add 8Q to both sides. So minus 4Q plus 8Q is 4Q. I'm going to subtract Q squared from both sides. 3Q squared minus Q squared is 2Q squared. Then I'm going to remember what I'm solving for. I'm trying to find Q. So I'm going to divide both sides of my equation by 2Q. When I do that, I get that Q is equal to, canceling these Q's, Q is equal to 2. Once I have this Q equals 2, I confirm in my head that I sort of understand what I've done. I figured out that at the cost minimizing point, or the minimum point along the long run average cost curve, that's occurring when Q is equal to 2, which means in the long run, each firm produces 2 units. But I need more than that. I need to know what that minimum value of the long run average cost is to find the price, because the long run equilibrium price is a price and I've solved for a Q. And essentially what I've done is I found the point where marginal cost cuts through average cost. So to figure out the price, I'm going to take this Q equals 2. I'm going to plug it into the long run average cost curve. So I get that P is equal to 24 minus 4 times 2 plus 2 squared. So P is equal to 24 minus 8 plus 4. So finally, we could say P is equal to 24 minus 4, which is $20. So this is our long run equilibrium price, and we know that at this long run equilibrium price, each firm produces 2 units. Now that we have our long run equilibrium price, we can find the number of firms that the market will have in the long run. The first thing that we have to do is we need to figure out how many units are demanded when the price is 20. And then we have to make sure that the number of firms is enough to produce that much. So how do I figure out the number of units demanded when the price is 20? I just plug 20 into my demand curve. So the demand is equal to 140 minus 2 times 20. 140 minus 40 is 100. With this piece of information, I can apply the relevant formula. Just as a reminder, that relevant formula was N is equal to D of P divided by Q, where D of P is 100 in this case, and Q is 2 because each firm produces 2 units. So I get 100 divided by 2, which is 50 firms. It's nice after you solve something like this to step back and make sure that you understand what's going on. We're saying that the long run equilibrium price is 20. Each firm is producing 2 units and 100 units are demanded. The only way for the market to clear is for the number of units supplied to also equal 100. And in order for the number of units supplied to equal 100, there must be 50 firms because each one produces 2 units, and 50 times 2 is 100.